Welcome back to the Hero's Journey. I am your empowerment guide and fellow superhero, Venus the Goddess. This is Arc 5, The Power of Words, the Sacred Art of Creation Through Language. This is a pre recorded lecture, so please feel free to pause and take a break at any time. Just note the time so that way you don't lose your place. Let's begin. The objective of this arc is to master the sacred art of conscious creation through language by understanding its neurological impact, reclaiming its magical history, and applying it through self talk, naming, affirmations, and gratitude. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. You may have heard this proverb before as a child. A proverb recited in the schoolyard, almost like a nursery rhyme, an incantation, a phrase used as a protective shield against the bullying taunts of your schoolmates. Despite its familiarity, intention, and childlike innocence, do you think this proverb is true? Words have power. Words shape our thoughts and beliefs. They can change how we perceive ourselves and the world we live in. They influence our daily actions and have the power to build or destroy relationships. At their best, words can empower and inspire others. At their worst, words can tear down and destroy others. Words can build bridges or burn them. They can heal nations or start bitter wars. Like our thoughts, words can be used to rewire and restructure the brain. They can direct how our genes express themselves. They are the commander in chief of the mechanics of neuroplasticity and epigenetics. Negative words, both spoken and heard, triggers the brain to release stress and anxiety-inducing hormones into the body. Neurologists, neurologists have found in studies that even vocalizing the word no opposed to yes immediately releases an inundation of these hormones into your system. Stress hormones like cortisol activate the body's fight, fawn, or flight response, resulting in a host of physiological changes like increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, and muscle tension. Long-term effects of chronic stress from negative words are inflammation and a weakened immune system. Chronic inflammation is the basis of autoimmune disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, gastrointestinal issues like Crohn's disease, cardiovascular diseases, certain cancers, diabetes, and neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's. A weakened immune system makes one more susceptible to illness. Negative words impair normal brain function. They negatively impact logical thinking, reasoning, memory, processing language, communication, and emotional regulation. Repeated exposure to negative words significantly impacts mental health, placing you at a higher risk for chronic anxiety and depression. It also contributes to premature aging. We learned in Arc 3 that aging is why we die. Words don't only hurt, they can kill. Children are especially vulnerable to the effects of negative words. Research has found that the connections between the left and right hemispheres of the brain are underdeveloped in adults who were verbally abused as children. Children who witness or experience verbal abuse are more likely to struggle academically, display delinquent or aggressive behavior, and may perpetuate the cycle of abuse in their own adult relationships. Please take a moment to look at this picture on the right hand side. Words like stupid, bad, dumb, lazy, they are all abusive language. Verbal abuse and psychological violence causes post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, anxiety disorders, severe depression, and personality disorders. They inflict profound, lasting harm that can be as severe as sexual and physical abuse. Verbal abuse and psychological violence alters the brain in such a way that it mirrors head trauma. They leave invisible scars that affects a victim's mental, physical, relational, social, and cognitive well-being. Victims are at a higher risk for substance abuse and eating disorders, isolation, and loneliness. They have trouble trusting and developing healthy relationships. They may suffer from rejection and abandonment trauma. They may struggle with emotional regulation and internalize intense feelings of fear and anger. They may have a distorted sense of reality, poor self image, and be overwhelmed in feelings of helplessness, powerlessness, inadequacy, shame, and guilt. They may experience insomnia, headaches, and unexplained physical pain. Abuse is never okay. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline by calling 1 800 799 SAFE. That is 1 800 799 7233. Texting START to 88788 or visiting their website, which is https://www.thehotline.org/. Speech is produced by the vibration of your vocal cords as air from your lungs pass through them, creating sound waves that travel through molecules in the air and the bones in your skull through a process called conduction. A vibration is the rapid back and forth movement of an object or particles around a central point. Every vibration has a frequency, which is the rate at which the vibration occurs. According to physics, the higher the frequency, the higher the energy of the vibration. The physical phenomenon is expressed, this physical phenomenon is expressed in Einstein's equation, E, or energy, equals Planck's constant times frequency. Everything in the universe is a form of energy that vibrates on a subatomic level at different frequencies, including your thoughts and words. The words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Words are more powerful and sharper than a two-edged sword. Negative words are so potent that they can physically alter the basic biological fabric of our being across generations. Words wielded reactively and recklessly are a reverberating generational curse of biblical proportions. Before you speak, let your words pass through three gates. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? What is self talk? Self talk is the daily internal dialogue you have with yourself. It can be expressed silently in your mind or spoken out loud. Negative self talk creates an internal scorching hell. It is a piercing, critical, judgmental, and harsh inner voice built from perfectionism, cognitive distortions, and internalized criticism from negative past experiences and feedback from others. Consistent negative self talk shapes and distorts your perception of reality. It constructs a negative self image that erodes self worth and confidence. It creates a breeding ground for feelings of worthlessness and self doubt, which are the molten cores of depression and anxiety. It manifests the rigid and chaotic hell you experience. Kind words do not cost much, yet they accomplish much. On the contrary, positive self talk can manifest a self image and reality that is so glorious, sovereign, and heavenly it is divine. Positive self talk is inner dialogue that is optimistic and encouraging. It builds high self esteem and lasting confidence through consciously focusing on your strengths and replacing harsh criticism with empowerment. For an example, instead of saying, I'm an idiot, positive self talk reframes this unnecessary, distorted insult with constructive kindness, such as, I made a mistake, but I'm learning from it. The empowerment is in learning from the experience. This practice is the antidote for stress and anxiety, the engine for motivation, the foundation for resilience, self worth, and enduring well being. Let's take a brief pause before we move into the next section. You can take this moment to practice breathing, get a drink of water, sip some tea, or stretch your legs. Okay, words have meaning. What is in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name will smell just as sweet. What is etymology? Etymology is the study of the origin and history of words, tracing their development and meaning and form over time. It is a branch of linguistics and a soft science that explores the journey of a word from its oldest record to its present day usage. It involves examining a word's roots and how it has changed through language and culture. Studying the etymology of words can help you to have a deeper understanding of their meaning. The Proto-Germanic word spela, which meant story or tell, is the ancestor of the modern English word spell. This root word gives us the two main etymological branches in English. In Old English, spelling meant to speak, to talk, to tell a story. From this, we get the concept of spelling a word. In its original sense, to spell a word was to recite it, to speak its letters or components aloud in order. Also, spell derives from the word gospel, which means good story or good news. The Old English noun spell retained its original meaning of story or narrative, but by the 10th century, it also came to mean a set of words spoken or recited to produce a magical effect, as in an incantation. The meaning shifted because stories, especially sacred, poetic, or ritual ones, held power. Spoken words were seen as acts of creation and command. In countless creation myths, the world is spoken into being. In the Judeo-Christian creation story of Genesis, God said, "Let there be light," and light appeared. In the ancient Egyptian Memphite creation story, Ptah conceived the world within his heart or thought, and then brought it into existence by naming the various parts of creation with his tongue or speech. The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines an incantation as a written or recited formula of words designed to produce a particular effect. Speaking with intention is the ultimate application of the power of speech. The practice of spell casting predates written history, but the earliest written record of its use comes from ancient Mesopotamia. It was recorded on cuneiform clay tablets from the city of Uruk, dating back to the 4th and 5th century. Other early examples include a 5,000-year-old spell from ancient Egypt, written in a Semitic language to ward off snakes, and a 4,000-year-old collection of incantations from the Sumerian civilization. The act of speaking things into existence is primeval. It's interwoven into the myths of cosmogony. You possess the power to command any reality into your existence, be it hell or heaven, utopia or dystopia, chaos or order, suffering or wellness. The choice is yours. It starts with a desire in your heart, an intention in your mind, the air in your lungs, and a vibration in your throat. You have the free will and agency to understand this power and will to curse yourself and others or to cast spells of empowerment and liberation. You can choose to silence the inner critic indefinitely, to render its voice null and void, and elect a new sovereign voice that speaks into existence a reality that is so epic, so legendary, so extraordinary, so marvelous, it rivals the mythos of the gods. Let's take a brief pause before we move into the next subject. Okay, there's power in names. Venus the goddess is the ancient Roman goddess of love and beauty. She is the most renowned goddess of her time and is said to be the ancestor of the Roman people. She is still revered to this day. She is worshipped for her unrivaled beauty, mastery of love, and good luck. She is the goddess of love, beauty, desire, sex, fertility, victory, and prosperity. Venus is the Greek equivalent of Aphrodite. She is the embodiment of love and sexuality. She was known as Venus the Creator and Venus who brings victory. She was revered under many cult titles such as Venus of the Heavens and Lucky Venus. She is symbolized with a rose. The etymology of Venus. Venus originates from a Proto-Indo-European word, Westnos, later a Proto-Italic word, uh, Venos, meaning desire. Also hunt as in to seek after. It is a derivative of the Latin verb venerare, which means to regard with reverence, to worship, or to venerate. To venerate. Also, to solicit the goodwill of a deity, to hold in awe. The etymology of God. The English word God comes from the Proto-Germanic word Gouda that derives from the Proto-Indo-European. I'm not sure how to pronounce this word. I think it's Jiwa, that means to call or to invoke. The original sense of the word was likely that of a being or divine entity that is invoked, perhaps during a sacrifice or a ceremony. Superheroes are the modern day gods. And in the DC comics and films, Shazam, that word is the magical word that the child orphan Billy Batson speaks to transform into an adult superhero. The name Shazam grants him the powers of six immortal elders: Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury. The word invoke, as defined by the Merriam-Webster dictionary, means to petition for help or support, to call forth by incantation, to bring about, to cause. The word God or goddess means to speak into existence. And by calling on uh, or naming a specific deity, you are literally speaking that energy into existence. Just like how in the comics, Billy Batson, when he calls upon the hero, Shazam, he is then transformed into this hero and he possesses his qualities, his strengths, his power. You can invoke the divine presence of a deity by speaking their name, titles, or attributes. For example, to call upon the goddess Venus is to speak all that she embodies into existence: her love, her beauty, her victory. I am Venus the goddess. Therefore, I am loved, beautiful, desirable, sexy, rich, victorious, prosperous, lucky, and joyful. To speak her name as my own is to crown myself in her divinity, her power. It is to command the very reverence that she wills, and I am worthy of receiving in my reality. Now, I'm not asking anyone to call upon any specific deity or God, but I am just sharing with you the history of the word and teaching you how to use words to command your own reality. Many cultures, both religious and indigenous, have naming ceremonies. As a part of your initiation into the hero's journey, choose a name for yourself. It doesn't have to be the name of a deity. It can be a character whose qualities you would like to emulate, like a superhero. Say Superman or Batman or Wolverine, or there's so many different heroes in the both in the Marvel and DC universes. Captain Marvel. Or you can just come up with a name on your own. It doesn't have to be after a character, but it should be a name, a word whose meaning and qualities empower you. And going forward, you will be called by that name. So choose wisely. Let's take a brief pause before we move into the next section. Alrighty, affirmations. What are affirmations? Well, affirmations are positive statements or phrases repeated to challenge negative thoughts and beliefs. How do they work? Affirmations work through repetition, like learning a new skill or forming a new habit. Devoted daily practice rewires the neural pathways in your brain, forming new connections. And over time, as these new connections become stronger, it becomes easier for you to think more positive and empowering thoughts. How to use them? You can write them down in your hero's journal, speak them aloud in the mirror, or express them silently to yourself. When you say them, speak them with conviction. Use statements that begin with I am to affirm the goal in the present, not in the future, such as I will. Be open minded and have faith. Even if you don't believe the statements now, in time you will. Consistency is the key. What are the benefits of affirmations? In time, your self esteem and confidence will rise. Your self worth will increase in value. Your motivation will soar. You will feel empowered. A positive mindset will become your new normal, and your overall well being will thank you. For those who are struggling with depression, remember depression is the result of low self esteem. Try affirmations that affirm your worthiness for core psychological needs. The core psychological needs are love, belonging, achievement, recognition, autonomy, control, security, stability, purpose, and meaning. So, for an example, say daily, I am worthy of love, or I am worthy of belonging, I am worthy of achievement, I am worthy of recognition, I am worthy of independence or freedom, I am worthy of self control, I am worthy of security, I am worthy of stability, I am worthy of safety. I'm worthy of a purpose driven and meaningful life. We're going to take a brief pause again before we talk about the next subject, gratitude. Okay, gratitude. When you're thankful for what you have, you are always rewarded with more. Try to stay positive and things will get better. Gratitude is the feeling of thankfulness and appreciation for the good things in your life, both big and small. Practicing gratitude improves your mood, it increases happiness and reduces negative feelings such as stress and loneliness. It is a major but often overlooked boost for your overall physical and mental wellness. Practice gratitude daily. Turn it into like a ritual. Turn it into a ritual like praying. So instead of saying your prayers, you say your gratitudes. Instead of begging for what you want or focusing on perceived lack, consciously count your blessings. The more you are grateful for what you have, the more you attract new things to be grateful for. Your perception will shift and you will start to see overlooked blessings that you didn't notice before. If the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. Gratitude is the attitude to have. For those struggling with anxiety, remember anxiety is the sum of catastrophizing and self doubt. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, your energy is better well spent focusing on what's going right in the moment. Try saying, I am grateful I am safe. When you say your gratitudes, also be grateful for what you desire. Say it as if it's already yours, because gratitude is the secret to manifestation. What are you grateful for today? A gracious affirmation. Try saying this each morning when you wake up. I am grateful for this beautiful day and the infinite possibilities it holds. I know something wonderful is going to happen. In the evening, say the following gratitudes. I'm grateful I am so lucky. I am grateful I am blessed and highly favored. I am grateful I am safe. I am grateful I am divinely protected. I am grateful all is well in my world. Now, you can modify these gratitudes to align with whatever your personal beliefs are. Now, let's talk about divine attributes or your superhero qualities. These are adjectives. These are actually my personal adjectives that I use for myself as Venus the goddess. I am loving, warm, compassionate, empathetic, intuitive, sensitive, introspective, and magical. I am also revered, loved, favored, kind, fair, loyal, honest, tolerant, reclusive, and introverted. I am wise, perceptive, understanding, truthful, creative, genius, optimistic, open minded, curious, and rebellious. But that's not a negative thing. Sovereign, powerful, dominant, courageous, confident, bold, blessed, lucky, healthy, abundant, radiant, majestic, sublime, awe inspiring, bewitching, convincing, capable, and merciful. I am desirable, passionate, pleasurable, beautiful, sexy, attractive, seductive, enchanting, otherworldly, joyful, tranquil, comforting, healing, uplifting, inspiring, timeless, and unforgettable. For your homework, I would like for you to write down at least 10 attributes or your superhero qualities. They are adjectives you are going to use to describe yourself. Please use strong, empowering words. Use a dictionary and a thesaurus. You can consult a dictionary and thesaurus to find the right words. You don't have to have as many words as I do. You can just start out with 10. You can borrow some of the words that I've used, but the goal is for the words to be empowering, for them to be strong, So do your research, research the etymology of the words so you understand their meaning, because words have power. Also, I would like for you to practice your daily devotions or your positive affirmations, your I am statements. And you can also use these attributes that you're going to come up with for your affirmations, such as I am powerful, I am strong, I am courageous, I am beautiful, I am magnificent. Really get into it. I really want you to get into it. Like I said, look at it as your divine attributes or your superhero qualities. And I also would like for you to say your gratitudes every day. Say it in the morning and say it in the evening. Say them in the morning and say them in the evening. This homework assignment is due within a week of the completion of this video. Again, homework does not need to be turned in. It's just for your own personal practice. Okay? So good luck. This brings us to our end of this arc. These are just the credits. The research that was used for this presentation was conducted using a variety of sources, including authoritative books, scientific publications, and AI-assisted research tools used to synthesize and verify complex information. If you would like to learn more about any of the subjects presented in this arc, I highly and strongly encourage you to do your own research. This presentation contains images and or diagrams used under the fair use for educational and commentary purposes within an original work. All visual media are the property of their respective creators. No copyright infringement is intended. Offerings. I do offer private sessions, so if you would like to book a virtual one-on-one mentoring session with me, you can email me at thegoddessxx@gmail.com. Sessions are 60 minutes at a rate of $150 per hour. Voluntary offerings. If you would like to donate to this channel, my Cash App is money sign VTheGoddessXX. Um, no obligation. Donations just help me to be able to continue to create content and grow my channel. My goal is to eventually have a website and also to just have better equipment, perhaps better technology. I'm not that tech savvy, but anything you can send is truly appreciated. Anyway, thank you for joining me for ARC 5. Remember, words have power, so be careful what you say and be careful what you call yourself. I love you, and I will see you next ARC. Have a beautiful and amazing and terrific day. All right? Bye.